this is John Patrick Hickey. We have been talking about success, what it is, what it isn't, what it means to you. I want to focus right now on a very important element, not only of what it means to be a successful person or to have a successful life, but what you need in order to achieve a truly successful life. And that is an element called character. Character is who we are. You see, you can't achieve success in any form of your life if you don't have proper character. Character is more than just how you behave or how other people see you. Character is who you really are when nobody sees you, what you really think, how you behave in private times, what you are up here and in here, more than what you just do in front of other people. That's what makes up true character. And I want to be even more specific. I want to talk to you about Christian character. Now, one of the principles that you're going to find is the whole issue about spirituality when you're dealing with success. And in our next video, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about these laws that everybody recognizes. But in any study of successful principles, you're going to find that spirituality is an important part, that everyone mentions the fact that you have to have a spiritual nature. You have to have faith. You have to be able to connect with that spiritual side of yourself. The difference is many of them will say it doesn't matter what that spiritual side is as long as you have one. Well, I can't go along with that. I have to tell you that it matters very much. That there is only one way to connect to God, and that is who our spiritual nature is. Your spirit is more than just some cosmic thing out there. It is our connecting with our Creator. Now, when we've been talking about purpose and being created for a purpose, who better to help us discover that purpose than the very one who created us? And there's only one way to connect to God, and that is through His Son, Jesus. I mean, Scripture tells us that there is only one way. Jesus said He was the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except by Him. Now, some people think, well, that's a pretty narrow way to look at religion. Well, yeah, it is. But there is a narrow path that we're following. It isn't broad. It isn't something that's big. And it's the truth. And you might say, well, it isn't my truth. Well, truth isn't up for people's debate. Truth isn't something that we can decide, this is yours, this is mine. Truth is just truth. And it's important that we as believers, that we follow a set of principles that allow us to develop our character. Fortunately, we have a handbook. We have something that gives us that direction. And that direction is found within Scripture. Now, there is a real tight area that we can even focus in more on when we're talking about Christian character. How is it that a Christian should behave? What should we think? How should we behave? How should we react to the world that's around us? Well, you can find that within the New Testament, within the books of Romans to Jude. Take those books, study those books, you'll find everything that you need to know within those books. And we're going to be discussing things within there as we go along. Now, one of the things that you have to understand is that these principles apply to all of us. It isn't that some of us, or the denomination that you're in, or the particular style of belief that you have, none of that matters. Because before God, there is no denominations. There are no different sects that He looks at and says, well, you follow these rules, you follow those rules. We have principles. The other thing that's important to understand, and this is a big misconception people have, they think that the biblical rules, or the biblical principles, I'd rather say, for successful living, are the things that build up our character, are restrictive, that they're there that stop us from doing. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And that's not true at all. Matter of fact, I can do anything that I want. God gives me that permission, that I can do absolutely anything that I want. The fact is, not everything is good for me. Not everything that you do is good for you. And we all understand that principle. We all know that if you do things that are going to be helpful to you, you enjoy the benefit. If you do things that are destructive, then you suffer the consequence. There's a consequence to everything that we do. Absolutely everything that you do has a consequence. So it's just a case of deciding what you want to benefit from. That's not a restriction. That's a guideline. That's something that guides us into successful living. Something that guides us into getting the most. That's why we call it successful living. Because it's getting the most, the biggest benefit we can out of our life and out of the way that we live, how we think, how we behave, how we treat one another. Also, these principles are there to help us to help other people. Again, and you'll find this is a reoccurring theme with this whole thing on our successful living, is that we're always there to help other people. We're there to add value to the world that we live in, not to take away from it, but to add to it. That we're there to help the world that we live in to be a better place. Now, one of the criticisms that I've faced, and I'm sure that many people will say, you read my books, or you read a blog, or even watching the videos, is I don't always mention chapter and verse, that I'll give a biblical principle and leave it at that. Well, there's reasons for that, and that is what we're going to discuss in the next video. For the Growth Center, this is John Patrick Hickey, and I do want to encourage you to always live your purpose and change your world.